Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here an article that I'm glad came out, and I'm glad it came out because maybe people who do not understand which way United States of America is going might be looking at this celebration in a different way. I'm talking about celebration because we're talking about diversity and inclusion and all that as being our United States' strength, which I really have questions, and I have questions because I'm thoughtful. If I would be below 86, I would have no questions, but I do. So I will make this video, and I will obviously make some statements, and I will bring facts and evidence in order to support my claims, and I will probably leave you with some questions. So this article comes from Fox News from August 20th, 2022. Chicago Advisory Panel recommends permanently removing Christopher Columbus statues. So Chicago, Christopher Columbus, statues removed. So some people decide that Christopher Columbus, that guy, his statues that we or other people put in place will be removed. All right. The Chicago Monuments Project Advisory Committee recommended Friday that the city permanently remove its three, so that means there's three, no more than three, it's three, all of them, Columbus statues and the Balboa Monument. The panel also advised the city to consider altering or removing around 40 other monuments. Inclusion and diversity is our strength. It remains to be seen whether the city will follow the recommendation, but Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot suggested in May that she would ignore them. All right. The mayors established the committee following racial justice protest in 2020. Racial justice. Have you seen how those protests were conducted? Well, I saw those kind of protests in other countries. Not in Germany necessarily, and when I saw it in France, it was not the French people. They probably had French citizenship, but you know what I mean. The French nation. Where is Napoleon to look at his great children? All right, so, and a violent clash with the police in which demonstrators attempted to take down the Columbus statue in Grant Park. So there were racial justice protests. You got to understand that racial justice is directed towards one and only one group, which is considered as being bad, because some people say it's no justice. It's a systemic, racism, what's going on around here. Even though there's no law discriminating against anyone, it's just possibly, and not possibly, probably, certainly, people who hold certain views. And they can, as long as they discriminate on their job or whatever they do. All right, so he says, and then they clash with the police. Why is it necessary to clash with the police? Peaceful protest. Why are you violent? If you're violent, I could solve the problem in about 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, a city could be put very nicely and quietly to a very nice functioning. 20 minutes. That's all you need. If you have the will. If you don't, then you don't. And they try to destroy Christopher Columbus statue. Well, it's a symbol for a country. A country. And why am I saying a country? Because Columbus symbolizes the formation of a certain country. Yeah, he discovered, or at least we accredit him, with coming here to the New World. Good for him. Was he perfect? No. Are you? No. Zip it. Now, this country was formed by certain, and we know exactly who those settlers were. Certain. And then when they created this country, and they took it from other ones because they were stronger, they took it, they formed a country. It was not a country before. It was tribes taking their territories from other tribes and all that, based on power. Then the settlers came, They found this almost in the what? I don't know if it was a Bronze Age or something level. Civilized, not civilization. Cultures. They didn't reach the level of civilization. If you don't know what it is, just look for the definitions. They took over by force. All right. They had a different kind of. They had civilization versus various cultures. Good cultures, bad cultures. They were all around. They had good things and bad things like any other culture, any other civilization, according to each culture's values. Okay. Then what happened? This country that was formed by this group said that this guy is a symbol. It's good to be celebrated, which is Columbus. Now we have other people who try to get the power here, and they think that this guy should not be there. So this guy that was put over there in place by the guys who formed this country for themselves, all of a sudden some groups in the country, and I must add racial groups, think that this guy is not proper. So that means the United States or whomever said that this is good, now there are groups within the country formed by those guys for those guys say this guy has to go. Now, where do you stand? Remember the Bible. If you want to be, just take the ancient Greeks. Are you perfect? Have you done anything wrong in your life? Yes. Then you can't talk? You can't have an opinion? Christopher Columbus was a symbol for some people, the ones who created this country, who created it. Not for the ones who didn't create it, for the ones who created it. Now it seems that people who did not participate in creation, they think that this guy is a bad dude and he has to go. What is the group who created this country going to do about it? Anything? Is the group going to do anything about it? Are you going to support their symbol? Or they lost? Their spirit is gone. So, the committee has since reviewed over 500 city monuments and recommended that 41 of them be removed, moved, replaced, or altered to provide additional context. Context being what? My power? I do it? So get ready for this. Get ready because it's coming more and more. The city will offer $50,000 in grants for the development of 8 new art projects that could potentially replace the monuments. I can guess what those are. I'm guessing you can guess as well. These artist projects will add permanently or temporarily the city collection and memorialize events, people, and groups that historically have been excluded or historically or underrepresented. So that means Christopher Columbus of that group, that is the bad group now, is going to go and we put our guys that were underrepresented. Well, that's what will happen. Are you going to do anything about it? Are you going to do anything about it? Are you going to speak up? No. So the report also included a counterpoint essay arguing against the removal of Columbus statues and the Balbo statues. Committee member Sergio Giangrande, former president of a joint civic committee of Italian Americans, a group that called on the city to return the Columbus statues and provide them security, penned the essay. To return the Columbus statues. I vehemently oppose the removal of any of the 3 Christopher Columbus statues, as well as the monument dedicated to the milestone in aviation by Italo Balbo. For every argument against these explorers, there are facts to debunk it. Authors and scholars alike can prove that most of the myths that surround Columbus and Balbo are just that, myths, Giangrande argued. Furthermore, how many of the proven actions that were less than acceptable today were a product of the times? That perspective deserves credence, he continued. The monuments are not, nor were they intended to be political statements. And why do you have to defend it? You got to that point, Italian, European, you got that point where in the country that your ancestors created, you have to argue for? You have to justify yourself? You have to justify your culture? The people, the symbols you have? To whom? And why? Is the other side perfect? Should it be represented? Yes, it should be. But we should not lose the context. Not by taking out, maybe adding. I'm okay with that. You take out, you know what it is? You gotta go. And that's the push here in this country. Inclusion. It's inclusion until we get the power. And when we get the power, the inclusion is going to go away. It's going to be just exclusion. You don't think so? All right. Wait. It's going to be too late then. You think you're going to survive? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because people psychologically who are abused will more likely be abusers in the future. That studies is not Emil Kosman saying that. So a person who was abused in the past will more likely be inclined to abuse in the future than a person who was not abused. So a lot of hatred is created, and I understand. But why? Why? Because it's still fueled right now, and it's pointed to one group. That's the reason why you can't buy a house. You don't have a job. You have children out of the wedlock. You don't take care of your children. You take drugs. You can show up on time. You can't keep a job. All these things are pointed towards one group. When you're told that, how can you improve yourself? Because you become a victim. And you will say, as long as that group is still there, I can't make it. I can't make it. And once you have that in your mind, yes, you can't make it. So what's the option? That group needs to go. So those statues will go sooner or later. And not only those, others. The panel proposes returning the Columbus statues in Grant and Arijo parks because the image of Columbus had become a bitter reminder of centuries of exploitation, conquest, and genocide. This is what those guys tell you about your culture. Your culture, that guy, it's an exploitation, conquest, and genocide. Your culture, on the other hand, said, my culture is made of discoveries, courage, and bringing civilization. How are you going to reconcile? Are you going to go to their interpretation of your culture? Or are you going to stand by your interpretation of your culture? Could you interpret their culture? Or you can't? Because their culture is all good. It's all good. It's all perfect. But yours, they can interpret yours. But you can't interpret them because they're the good guys and you're the bad guy. So are you going to defend your culture? Or are you going to let them shape your culture? When I hear, let's say, the Germans saying, oh, no, French people, I will determine what kind of culture you have. Or let's say the Middle Easterns or the North Africans that live now in France, will they shape and tell the French how the French culture is? Or the French will decide what their culture is? Which one is going to be? Because it seems like groups here do not feel they're Americans. And besides, if you look back at the people who really created this country for themselves, I don't know if they had in mind this kind of a situation, did they? But they got here. What are you going to do about it? These guys tell you how you are, and you can't tell them how they are because they're perfect. Or you can't say what you are and say, you know what? What are you talking about? Don't even talk about my culture. Take care of your culture. Fix your problems in your culture and community. Don't talk about my culture. Don't even dare to do that. It's not your place to do that. You can, but do I listen? Why would I listen? Yeah, I know this video is like that, but my fellow Americans, remember when I came here, I went to college, yeah? And when I went to college, I argued a lot with my professors and a few guys in the classroom. And I was arguing for America, for its values, for its culture, civilization, and the other guys were not. They were like this right here. And they were talking about this and this and that. They were partly communist, and some of them were belonging to these marginalized groups. And I was defending the 80 or 90% of the classroom. And you know what my colleagues, my American colleagues were doing? They were looking on the laptops, buying socks, shoes, underwear, and I was fighting for them. And they did not say shit. And I said, you know what? Why would I do that? Because I do this video. Because I think it's unfair. It's not only unfair, it's such a weasel move. And I'm thinking, why didn't you just jump in the conversation? They did not care. It was me against the professor, usually, which was a hack communist, postmodernist guy, neo-Marxist, and there are 3, 2, 4, 5 guys that belonged always to two groups. Two groups. All right? So here I am again. You're going to lose. You're going to lose this country. And you're going to lose like Haiti. Remember how Haiti? What happened over there? Huh? I suggest you read about it. What happened with the French population over there when the Haitians loved them and what they did with them. Just for your own reference, just look into it and find out what the Haitians did to the French guys who were drinking their wine and they were civilizing the world. They killed all of them. Each and one. All of them. They killed them all. No inclusion. No diversity. They didn't like it. So, good luck. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.